We'll chant the prayers together. Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Asmadacharya
Paryantam
Vande Guru
Guru
Paramparam.
Om Sahana
Sahana Bhavatu
Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhinamatstu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. So we had finished the 40th verse, and we will chant the 41st verse. We are still on Arjuna speaking, so it will be Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha
Adharma Bhibavat Krishna
Adharma Bhibhavat Krishna
Pradushyanti Kulasthriyaः
Pradushyanti Kulasthriyaः
Strishu Dushtashu Varshneya
Strishu Dushtasu Varshneya
Jayate Varna Sankaraha.
Jayate Varna Sankaraha.
Okay, so I have just muted you all, and we will look at the word meanings. The first word, Adharma Bhibavat Krishna, is Adharma Abhibavat Krishna. Abhibavat. So Adharma Abhibavat Krishna Pradushyanti Kula Striyaha. Then Strishu Dushtasu Varshneya Jayate Varna Sankaraha. So Anvaya will be, Hey Krishna, Adharma Abhibavat Kulastriyaha Pradushyanti. Full stop. First sentence. Adharma Abhibavat Kulastriyaha Pradushyanti. He Varshneya Strishu Dushtasu Varna Sankaraha Jayate. He Varshneya Strishu Dushtasu Varna Sankaraha Jayate. So, Hey Krishna, Hey Varshneya, both are Sambodhanam, mode of addressing. Then Adharma Abhibhavat. Adharma means Adharma, that which is not Dharma. Abhibhavat. Abhibhavat is being overpowered by, being under the influence of. So he says Adharma Abhibhavat, because of the overpowering influence of Dharma, Kulastriyaha Pradushyanti. The ladies of the family, Kulastriyaha, the women in the family, Pradushyanti, are destroyed due to ridiculous they do not maintain the traditions anymore. Why? Because the family is a unit which we discussed in the last class. The family is the unit where traditions are maintained. And if the family is destroyed by the men being destroyed, then the family is no longer a family. And the traditions, the Vedic traditions, all those prayers, all those parayanams, all those will not be maintained. And Strishu Dushtasu, when women or when the ladies are unable to maintain these traditions, Varna Sankaraha Jayate, there will arise confusion between the Varnas, between the various social groups. So what does he mean by that? Let us see. Okay. So we will put it into sentences first for easier understanding. So, hey Krishna, adharma abhibhavat due to the overpowering by adharma, kulastriyaha pradushyanti, the ladies of the family, the women of the family will not be able to maintain the traditions. And hey Vashnaya, sentence number 2, hey Vashnaya, strishu dustarshu, when the women are unable to be traditional, to maintain all the Vaidika karma, Varna Sankaraha Jayate. Jayate is born. Confusion in society is born. What does it mean? Okay. One has to understand properly what is Krishna's, idea in saying this. Because very often these verses are interpreted as derogative of women. And this is not what is intended. So he is saying that for a child to be healthy, its formative years have to be healthy. That means in the first few years, the child has to have a healthy family, a stable family. The father should be there, the mother should be there, affection and love should be there, respect for each other should be there. Then only the child can form a healthy physiological personality. Because this forms in the first few years of life. In those years, the behavior of the parents, the upkeep of the parents, that is what gives the child proper values. And the child is always going to look to his parents as role models and imitate them. Therefore, we all know that when we were young, for us, parents were like God, infallible. So the child believes the parents absolutely, and he will do whatever the parents ask him to do or whatever they show him that they are doing. Not only that, the self-image of the child is based on what? His opinion about himself is going to depend upon how his parents treat him. If the parents treat the child with respect, then the child has a very healthy opinion of himself. He is a self-respecting child. And that is why you find that in Indian societies, at least the traditional ones, not only was the child the center of the attention of his mother and father, but also of the entire extended family. And the child was given a lot of attention in the first few years in joint families. So our scriptures actually say, Panchavarshani Rajavat. Panchavarshani is for the first 5 years. Rajavat. The treatment of the child should be like to treat a king. Because it is in these first 5 years that the self-opinion, the self-image of the child is formed. And if that image is not formed properly, then the child will grow up not respecting himself. And if you don't respect yourself, you cannot respect anybody else. So in the first few years, Shastram is saying that let the child be treated in such a manner that his image, his self-confidence, his self-respect develops. And if a child is not having that, then we should know that it is not his mistake. It is the mistake of the parents who have brought him up. Therefore, a healthy mind is a mind which respects others and respects himself also. And Krishna tells you in the 6th chapter. So, once you condemn yourself, then nobody can help you. Right? And even if Ishvara comes and say that, once you condemn yourself, once you accepted that you are useless, once you feel guilty and say that, yes, I am useless. And a lot of people are there in this world, especially today, who have very strong self-condemnation. And once they do that, then even if Ishvara comes and tells you that, you are a great person, he will say, no, 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 you don't know how bad I am. You will tell him also. So Guru Kripa, the grace of the teacher, is not the most important thing. Ishvara Kripa, the grace of the Lord, is also not the important thing. What is most important, we call Atma Kripa, your own understanding of yourself. That is most important. You have to take charge of your life, and you have to say that I can accomplish what I want. This can happen only if there is a very healthy self-image, there is a lot of self-confidence, and these qualities have to come within the very first few years of your life. And that is possible only with a stable family, healthy parents. The child is respected, the mother respects the father respects the mother. Then only is it possible. And therefore, here what is being said is that to develop healthy citizens in any society, the most important unit is the family unit. Family life is the most important factor for developing a healthy citizen. And Shastra accepts that it is the woman who protects dharma. She in turn is protected by the man. So the mother becomes the first model for the child. The father becomes the second model for the child. The guru becomes the third model for the child. So Mata, Pita, Guru. This is the sequence. And therefore, parents have to serve as a model. And if they have to serve as a model, that unit, that model, it should be available for a consistent length of time, which means that throughout these formative years, that stable family is required. Imagine, as it happens in many societies, that every year the couple change. So one day the child sees a new father, next year he sees a third father. So how confused will he be? He doesn't know what is going on in his life. He doesn't know whom to follow, whom to dress like. Should I dress like my father, the first father, or should I dress like my this year's father, or like my mother? He's completely confused. So parents are models, and therefore parents respecting each other, loving each other, extremely important for the health of the child. The child is a member of the society. And so Krishna is saying, Arjuna is pointing out this, that if that unit is destroyed, then the entire society is destroyed. So he says, Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha. When the families are destroyed, the girls will have no chance to have good values. And a girl who has no chance of getting good values grows up to be an unhealthy mother. So kula sriyaha pradushyanti. And then what will happen? Strishu dushta suvashneya. When the ladies become adharmic, jayate varna sankaraha. Destruction of the entire society is assured. So varna sankaraha. It brings us to what? Varna ashram dharma. So in the old days, there was varna ashram dharma, which means two things: varna dharma and ashrama dharma. Varna ashram is two words: varna and ashrama. So in varna dharma, Vedas have prescribed certain duties. In ashrama dharma, Vedas have described certain duties. Right. So in varna dharma, what is it? What are the varnas? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Right? These are the broad classifications. So Kshatriyas have got certain kind of duties. So in the old days, they were the ruling class and the protecting class. So they had political duties and military duties. And the Vaisyas are the supporters. They got economic duties. Shudras are the support of all the other three. So they've got supporting duties. So Kshatriyas have political and military duties. Vaishyas have economic duties, Shudras have supporting duties, and Brahmanas have got cultural duties. The entire structure, Shastram, is supposed to be maintained by them. And all the four are important for the growth of a society. So the Brahmana is important because without the cultural infrastructure, the nation will collapse. A nation without a culture of its own is no nation. Then the Kshatriyas are important because without a political setup, you cannot govern. The military duties are important for the Kshatriya because to protect the nation, you need the military. The Vaishya is important because economics is the backbone of society. Without money, without growth of society, the nation will collapse. And to help them, you have the entire supporting structure of the Shudras. They are also important. So he says Varna Sankaraha, literally meaning mixture of the Varnas. So you can understand in many ways. Everybody will take to every other profession because there is nobody to have, because they are not, the family has been destroyed. So he will not know what he is supposed to do. So he will do whatever comes to his hand. And this is where the very basic question of family life comes. Remember that for economic activity, family is not required. For fulfilling your desires, kamaha, family is not required. So for artha, family is not required. For kama, family is not required. For having values, for being a good person, family is not required. And family is required for one purpose only. In the Indian tradition, the family is required exclusively for one purpose. What is that? That is to maintain the Vaidika dharma expressed in the form of regular karmas and regular duties. So Vaidika karmas, those karmas which are enjoined by Vedas. So you have, various prayers you do, you have various rituals you do, all enjoined in the Purveda, and this is possible only for a family. So the wife is not called Ardhangani for no reason. The lady is always called, lady of the family is called who? Ardhangani. Half anga. Half the anga of the husband is the wife. Why? Because in the tradition, no Vaidika karma can start without the approval of the wife. It's a very important position in our culture that when the karma is being done, the lady of the house has to be present. And she is the one who gives the permission for the start of the karma. And therefore, unmarried people, they cannot do many Vaidika karmas. Most of the Vaidika karmas are meant only for grahasthas, the one who has a wife. That is why she is Ardhangani. And why is it important for us? Because when you look at dharma, it's a very loose structure, right? There is no, at least in the Indians, in the Vedika dharma structure, there is no control hierarchy. There is no system which is centralized. It is not a central organization. Unlike the church, for example, where everything is one organization. It starts in Rome, in the Vatican, and comes downwards. Unlike Islam also, it's the same structure. But in our structure, in the Vaidika structure, there is no central organization. The entire propagation of dharma is not by the church or by the mosque. The propagation is from family to family in the form of Vaidika karmas. This is what Arjuna is hinting at. That unlike other religions, here the main structure is what? The family itself. And once the family is destroyed, Vaidika karma goes away. And the consequence will be what? That the children will not know how to carry on this karma. So If they don't know, how are they going to teach these attitudes, these values, this karma to the next generation? And that is going to result in the destruction of dharma. This is Arjuna's argument. So he says, Hey Krishna, Varshneya. He calls him Varshneya. So Varshneya is Vrishni Kula Prasutaha, the one born in the Vrishni Kulaha. Vrishni is a particular Kula family. The one born in the Vrishni family is called Varshneya. Krishna was born in that family. Prasuta means born, produced from. And this is Arjuna's argument. If all the men are killed, which I am going to do in this war, I will be responsible for the destruction of the entire family. And if I do that, the very structure which propagates dharma, that structure will be destroyed. Am I not going to be responsible for the destruction of dharma itself? And that is his problem. He says, killing these men is one thing, but destruction of dharma, I do not want to be responsible for. Okay, we will look at the next verse, verse number 42. Let us chant. Sankaro Narakai. Yes, please.
What is meant by dushtasu here? Dushtasu here?
Dushta means becomes, here the reference is to becomes incapable. Dushta actually means evil. So the person who is not capable of carrying out the traditions, that is taken as evil or bad.
So is it being used as an adjective for Stree?
Yes, it is being used as adjective for Stree. Because person who is responsible for carrying out the tradition, when that person doesn't carry it out, then that person is not doing what he's supposed to do and therefore is not correct. That is what is meant. So don't use it as evil. It is the incorrect thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we look at verse number 42. Sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindodaka kriyaha lupta pindodaka kriyaha. Okay, so I'm muting you again. We'll again look at the meanings. Sankaraha. So naraka aiva is narakaya plus eva. So narakaya plus eva. Kulagnanam kulasya cha. Then patanti pitaraha. Pitaro is converted into pitaraha. Pitara with a visarga. Hyesham is hi plus esham. Hi plus esham becomes hyesham. Then lupta pinda udaka kriyaha. That word has to be broken up carefully. Lupta pinda udaka kriyaha. And your anvaya becomes sankaraha kulagnanam kulasya cha narakaya eva. You have to add over there. It is the verb is not there. You can put in brackets gamayati, goes towards. So as I said earlier also, I have mentioned that many of the sentences in the mantras or in the slokas, they sometimes omit the verb, they sometimes omit the subject, they sometimes omit the object. So it is the duty of the commentator to supply them so that it makes sense grammatically. So here, gamayati you have to supply, goes to. Then esham pitaraha, he lupta pinda udaka kriyaha patanti. Esham pitaraha hi lupta pinda udaka kriyaha patanti. Sankaraha is confusion. I would request you all not to unmute yourself, please, so that the recording is not disturbed. Sankaraha is confusion. Kula gnanam. Kula plus gnanam. That has to be carefully broken. Kula plus gnanam. Gnanam is of the for the destroyers. Kula is of the family. So confusion. Kulaha Kulagnanam, destroyer of the family. Kulagnanam has to be taken as destroyer of the family. And confusion is for whom? For the destroyer of the family, Kulasyacha, as well as for the family. And Narakaya Eva, that leads to Naraka only, that leads to hell only. Esham Pitarahi, there means Esham, those people. Which people? All the Kshatriyas were involved. Pitarahi, and their ancestors also are involved. Why? Because the ancestors are deprived of lupta. Lupta means they do not get, they are deprived of what? Pinda, that we'll explain in detail. Pinda basically means a rice ball. Udaka means water. Kriya means ritual. So Pinda, Udaka, Kriya means the ritual of rice balls and water. I'll explain that. Patanti means they fall. These people fall, they destroy themselves, or they fall to a lower status in life. Now look at the sentences basically. Sankaraha eva, confusion indeed. Narakaya kulasya kulagnanam. There will be confusion indeed and will result in going to Naraka. So Narakaya gamayati or Narakaya bhavati will go to Naraka. Who will go? Kulasya, the family, and Kulagnanam, destroyer of the family. Both will go to hell. That's what he says. And there is a further problem also. Pitaraha, the ancestors of all these people, Esham Lupta Pindo Udaka Kriyaha Patantihi. Because his ancestors will be losing the benefit of the kriyas which are post-death. After death you do certain kriyas for your ancestors. He says they will lose that benefit. Why will they lose the benefit? Because the children will not know what to do since they have not been taught. And why have they not been taught? Because the family has been destroyed. So the Vedic karmas which were passed on, they have not been passed on to the children. They will not know what to do. They will not know what are rituals to do for their ancestors who pass away. And therefore patantihi, they will indeed fall. Ancestors will have a fall. Okay, let's take a little bit of complicated verse. So let us take a little bit at a time. So he says,
आचार्य जी,
yeah,
बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आया, ये बिल्कुल
हाँ, तो आप
डिफिकल्ट है.
सुनिए समझेंगे आप. Okay, now we will explain in detail. He says Varuna Sankara has taken place. The mixture of the Varnas have taken place. That was mentioned in previous verse. Varuna Sankara. Once the four groups, the four Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they get mixed. What has taken place? A religious mixture has taken place. And you will find that not everybody will know what dharma to follow, because now there is a mixture. Purity of dharma has been destroyed. And the ritual part of dharma can therefore no longer remain pristine, can no longer remain pure. Like it happens in many marriages today. One of the couple is a Hindu, the other is a Christian. How will the child celebrate the birthday? Whether he will light the lamp or whether he will blow it out. very important distinction. In Hinduism, we light the lamp. In Christianity, they blow out the candles. So whether you to cut the cake or eat the havi, should you go to temple or should you go to church? So Arjuna is saying that because of the mixture of religions of the parents, you will find that, okay, I'm using Christian and Hindu, but here you can also say Brahmana, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Shudra, those, because there are different Varnashrama, Varna, Dharma for each Varna, and those Dharmas get mixed. That is what he's asking. If the Dharmas of the parents are mixed because they belong to different Varnas, what is it that I'm communicating to the child? And rituals are methods of communicating our feelings, right? And even the most, advanced country which doesn't believe in religion at all, they do also have rituals when people come. The army has rituals always. When you meet somebody, you shake hands. What is that? It's a ritual. Cleanly, all these actions fall into rituals. And therefore, all over the world, rituals are there. When you offer water to a visitor, first thing you pani pila do. Don't we say that's a ritual? Rituals are there everywhere. You cannot avoid rituals. Arjuna is saying that because what is the purpose of all these rituals? Shastra says that if you follow all the rituals, you will get punyam. And if you get punyam, you will go to Swarga. And if you don't follow the rituals, what happens is that punyam will not be available, and therefore narakaya eva. You will go to Naraka. And here we have to note that unlike the hell of other religions, so in other religions, what is the postulate? You have one life, and then in that life, you either do good or you do bad. And if you do good, you go to heaven. And if you do bad, you go to hell. And then you wait for judgment day. When is judgment day? All eternity. But in Sanatana Dharma, Naraka is a place you visit, like Swarga. Swarga and Naraka are places which you visit. It's a temporary visit, decided by what? By your punya papa. If you have enough punyam, you go to Swarga. And what happens there? You enjoy your life. How is that enjoyment taking place? That papam which you have, that punyam which you have, is like your bank balance. So every enjoyment that you have, everything that you enjoy has a price in terms of a debit of punyam to your account. So if you have a lot of punyam, you will have a long life in Swarga. But every enjoyment that you have, your punyam account is being debited, and sooner or later, that account will become zero. When it becomes zero, you will leave Swarga and you are reborn on earth, on Bholoka. Similarly, for Naraka, if you have a lot of papam, you will go to Naraka. Every time you suffer, your papam account is debited. Sooner or later, that account becomes zero and you come back to Bholoka to get another rebirth. Brief theory of what Shastra says about Punyam, Papam, Narakam, Swarga. And now Arjuna is talking about who's Naraka? Kulagnanam Kulasya. Kulagnanam, for the destroyer. Kulasya, for that Kula which is destroyed, which means here in the context of the war, the winner as well as the vanquished. The victor and the vanquished, he says both will go to Naraka. Because one has destroyed and the other has, because of the destruction, they have lost all religious practices. So not only will they fall spiritually or religiously, they will be deprived of their post-life Naraka or Swaraga, no, post-life Swaraga also. They will go to Naraka. And he gives one more reason. Lupta Pinda Udaka Kriyaha. So Lupta means deprived of, having lost. What? Pinda. Pinda is the offering of rice. Udaka is water. Kriya means the action. So Pinda Udaka Kriya means offering rice and water. It is a ceremony which we call Tarpanam. When somebody dies, the children are supposed to do Tarpanam to their parents. Also for your ancestors, also you're supposed to do once in a year or so. The ceremony of offering that rice and water, that is called Pinda Udaka Kriyaha. And Shastra says that some of the papams of your ancestors can be mitigated by the prayers done during these ceremonies. Prayers done by whom? By the children. And the children don't know all this. Obviously, they will not be offering these prayers. And your forefathers will be deprived of the opportunity of some of the papams being mitigated.
Ramji,
Okay. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. You said Varna Dharma means two people of two different clan getting married. If they get married, they're not maintaining the Dharma of the clan.
Yeah.
So those people who get married from two different clans, are they not supposed to do Shraddh? Or is the Shraddh going to be of no validity? Am I clear, Ji?
The point is, which are you going to teach the child?
Oh, okay. The
Are you
child.
going to teach Brahmana karma, or are you going to teach Shudra karma? Which are you going to teach?
So I may not be hurting anybody. Is it a papam if two different clan people get married?
First of all, you have to understand who is saying.
No, Ji. Nowadays, it's
this is
all
not
mixed
Krishna.
marriages.
This is not Krishna who is talking. This is Arjuna who is giving here arguments.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
So in
Arjun-
today's world, two different clan people, like may say, for example, Hindu or Christian, or maybe a Brahmana and Kshatriya, get married like day in and day out. So is it against? Is it going to increase the papam, or I really?
You
Am I-
have to understand the context. That's why I keep saying, understand the context.
Okay.
Arjuna is trying to give all the arguments possible
Hmm.
not to
Hmm.
get into the fight. Okay. This is not Jnanam over here.
Okay.
It is not Krishna saying anything.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't think there is a problem. The only
Hmm.
problem is in mixed marriages, there is always a problem. Which
Yeah,
religion the parent
confusion.
will follow?
The child will follow. Hmm.
And most people say that, we'll teach them both. and
Yeah,
we can
that's what
choose,
they say.
But it doesn't work.
Only one has to follow only one clan. Is that right?
Because no, teaching a child too many things, you're only confusing him.
Confusing.
By saying that I am a Christian and my husband is a Hindu, and I will teach him both Christianity and Hinduism, what are you doing to the child? Because they're
Okay.
opposing religions. Their basic
Yes.
ideas are different. One
Exactly.
says you are the Lord. One says you are a slave.
Okay.
So all those ideas are being put forward here.
It's
Okay?
basically to give clarity to the children.
Basically to ensure that Vaidika karma is being carried forward, which anyway it is not today, right? How many
Yeah.
people know how to do Vaidika karma? They don't.
Yeah.
Whenever you do some karma, you call the priest. That
Okay.
priest chants some mantras. You have no
Exactly.
idea what he is chanting, okay?
True.
He could be chanting, some poem from somewhere, but you have no
Exactly.
idea.
Hmm.
That is what is meant. Complete ignorance has descended on us. We don't do the karma anymore. In fact, Vedic karma has become irrelevant for us because you haven't learned the Vedas.
Okay.
Okay.
So
All
will
that
the Shard become invalid?
again you're talking Dharma Shastra. Okay, Dharma Shastra says Shraddha has to be done.
Hmm.
And Dharma Shastra says that when you are doing something for what you call benefit, material benefit, you have to exactly follow the ritual as laid down in the Vedas.
Shastras. Hmm.
That is why you find some people saying that, Arey, who will do Shraddha and all? I will do some Annadana, feeding old age homes. So is it not sufficient? Is a question often asked. Why should I go and pay some priest 10,000 bucks to go to the river and do some sort of a ritual,
Puja.
the benefit of which nobody knows?
Exactly.
Better than that, I will go and feed 10,000 rupees worth of food to an old age home or to the street children. Is that not better? That is a common argument used.
Mhm.
What is the answer?
No, it's not equated.
So
Rituals
answer is
cannot
that,
be equated with.
yes, scripture says that do the Annadanam, but you
You
can't
feed.
replace the karma with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Pitra Yajna is what this called. We'll do this in detail in the following chapters. What are the
Thank
different
you,
types
Ji.
of yajnas? But this is all Pitra Yajna.
Understand.
Homage to your ancestors. Pitra Yajna cannot be replaced by Manusha Yajna. Following your feeding the poor,
Hmm.
all this is Manusha Yajna. You cannot replace Pitra Yajna with Manusha Yajna. Both have to be there.
True.
Okay, so he says, Hesham Pitaro Patanti. All these forefathers, they will lose their exalted status because Patanti, they will fall. So these kriyas with the children, they are meant to neutralize the effects of the papa karma of the previous generations of ancestors, previous 3 generations of ancestors. And Arjuna is saying that because of the destruction of this family and the family unit and the children not knowing anything anymore, the forefathers would no longer get the benefit of these prayers. And that is meant by Patanti, falling.
Om Acharyaji.
Yes.
Acharyaji, when we said that doing Tarpanam, by doing Tarpanam, some of the papams of the ancestors can be mitigated
Yeah.
by the prayers. So when we read the karma theory, we say that the papam and punyam of one individual can only be like exhausted by in the human life by that person only. So when we are saying that the papams of the ancestors can be mitigated by the prayers, we are referring to the papams of the ancestors or the
Yes.
effect of that.
Ancestors. See, it's a very good question, okay, incidentally. How is it that when Shastra says that you can only enjoy the benefits of your karma, how is it that here we are saying this? Because there is sankalpa also. Now, every action has a phalam. Okay, that is a theory. Karma means karma phalam. Prayer is an action. So the prayer is action which is got adrishta phalam, which is punyam. Prayer is a good action and therefore it has adrishta phalam punyam. What you do during this ritual is that in that prayer, when you are addressing the Lord, you say, whatever punyam is being generated from this prayer, let that not accrue to me. The sankalpa is, let that punyam not accrue to me. That punyam, let it go towards mitigating my forefathers' papa. That is the prayer.
Om Raviji,
Yes, Sushila.
Sushila here. Yeah. I have one dramatic doubt. It's
Yeah.
like, when we talk about ancestors, forefathers, okay, in a scenario where they're already taken a rebirth or, they're somewhere doing something, however, whatever we are doing today for them, how it will be beneficial to them,
You don't know, right, whether they're taken rebirth or
Exactly.
not.
Yeah, in such scenarios,
So that's what I'm saying.
they have their karmas, whatever they have done in their life, and they must be going through it.
See, basically, Shastram says that these are meant for 3 generations.
3 generations. Okay.
Okay, so you are taking all this is discussion where there's no basis, okay? Because
Okay.
just going by what Shastram says. Shastram says your prayers will benefit them and will benefit 3 generations. You can interpret as saying that Shastram is therefore saying that for 3 generations only, after 3 generations only, they will benefit and they will be reborn. That's only interpretation.
Acharyaji, I have a take on this.
Yes.
I mean, how I explain it to myself is that what is it that we have really inherited from our forefathers? It is our DNA. And their DNA really influences us. It's coursing through our veins. So when we pray for it, if there's any corrective thing, it is to really help their DNA. In other words, it helps us also. Whatever things have come inherited by us, it also helps them wherever they are. That DNA is still floating, it is still current.
See, here your DNA is the physical body, okay? So if your forefathers have died, physical body is gone. The Sukshma Shariram doesn't have a DNA. I don't know how far your argument can be valid. It's okay to explain to yourself, but when we talk about Shastram, any explanation has to be exactly according to what Shastram says. So that is one more thing I would like to say. Any explanation which you give yourself, ask yourself, is it in harmony with what Shastram says?
Raviji.
One of the biggest
Thanks,
problems
Raviji.
which we always have is we try to use our brain to
Yeah.
arrive at an answer. And that is always wrong.
Raviji, like how we were talking about ancestors, whatever prayers and pujas and rituals we do in this birth, will it help our children or the generations to come? This is we are talking about Shraddh, which goes on to our ancestors. So will our rituals or prayers and proper pujas which we are following as per our clan, will it benefit the next 3 generations to come, or is there no relationship?
There is no relation.
No
You can say at the
relationship.
most that,
It will
what I
benefit.
said, that every prayer, every karma has a karma phalam. And
Okay.
so any prayer that you do will generate a karma phalam.
Hmm.
So the beauty of this theory is that karma phalam arising out of a prayer is punyam.
Hmm.
You can, by virtue of a sankalpa, say that this punyam, I don't want it to accrue to me, let it accrue to my children.
It works. Then it works.
Logically, it is correct.
Great.
Okay. Right.
Thank
Remember
you, Ji.
again that I am only presenting now an objective assessment of Arjuna's view. Okay. So there may be some people among you who don't believe in Puraveda, who don't believe in rituals.
Thank you, Ji.
So that is not material here. What I am saying is this is the objective view of that society in which Arjuna was born and raised. In that society, Varna Ashrama Dharma was important. Primarily from the point of view of rituals only. So when Arjuna is presenting this view, it is in the context of that society in which Varna Ashrama Dharma had a predominant place, which it doesn't have
Raviji,
today. Yeah.
What is ashram dharma?
Ashrama Dharma is, there are 4 ashrams, right? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Each of them has a particular set of duties.
Yeah.
So Varna is according to your Varna, that is your class, from Brahman, Kshatriya, etc. And Ashrama is according to the Grihastha, Brahmacharya, whatever. So once that, predominance has gone away, like it has gone away today. Today, Varna Ashrama Dharma is not there. But neither Varna is there, nor Ashrama is there. So the rituals go away because it is from the standpoint of view of morals. We do not have to retain that Varna Ashrama Dharma. Morals can be practiced without Varna or Ashrama Dharma. Attitudes can be practiced without Varna Ashrama Dharma. You can take care of your future also without Varna Ashrama Dharma. When is it important? From the standpoint of Vaidika karma only. From the standpoint of Vaidika karma, Varna Ashrama Dharma is extremely important. So this background you have to remember. This is not a defense of Varna Ashrama Dharma. It may have had various problems. This is Arjuna's view arising from a society in which Varna Ashrama Dharma was predominant. And wherever Varna Ashrama Dharma is predominant, it is predominant for the purpose of protecting the Vaidika karma. Today, how many of you know how to chant the rituals? You don't know. Sandhya Vandanam, how many of you do? That, how many of you really do anything which is Vaidika in nature? You may do Parayanam. Okay, Gita Parayanam is there. All the various other bhajans are there. All of that you may do. But how many of you actually do even one of the, karma which is mandated in scriptures? The daily karma is what? Sandhya Vandanam, thrice a day. Do we do it? Does even one of you do it? No. And I'm willing to bet that very few of you, if at all anybody, actually know the whole, chant itself. Do we? There are people who do still. You'll find in railway station somebody pouring water over his head and all that. But there are very few people. That thing has gone off. It's no longer relevant today. But what is presented here is, remember, that's what I'm saying. Don't take it as a defense of that system. What is being presented is Arjuna's viewpoint that this is what is going to happen.
Aviji?
Yeah.
So we were talking about our prayers benefiting our ancestors
Yeah.
suffering in Naraka. I heard even in a ceremony, when we invite priest to come and help us in the ceremony, like you said, we have no idea about what the rituals are, what the mantras are. The priest will be knowing. I heard that right in the very beginning, the priest will do the sankalpa, saying that he is just there to assist, and the phalam of the karma should go to the yajaman,
Yes.
the one
Correct.
who is invited.
Correct.
And as a to confirm this or something, the priest would take dakshina in the end.
Yeah. So remember, every action has a phalam. Right. The phalam of the ritual for the priest is dakshina.
Correct.
A phalam of the ritual for you is whatever the phalam of the ritual is.
Right.
Remember this, the agent, for the actions of the agent, the principal is always responsible. You can't ask somebody to murder somebody and say you are free of that, because somebody else did the murder, right? You are responsible. The principal is always responsible for the agent, and therefore that is the theory over here, that this priest is acting as your agent. And since he is doing it, of course, your whole set of suppositions come in, that the priest knows what he is doing, that you have done enough investigation to ensure it's a real priest and not a fake one. All those things. Once he is doing the puja for you or the ritual for you, all the benefits of the priest ritual are yours. The karma is your karma, not of the priest. The priest's benefit is only the dakshina. That is why dakshina is very specifically asked for, to indicate that as an agent, I'm getting my fees, but the benefit of the ritual is going to you.
Acharya ji, I have a question.
Yeah.
In Tattva Bodha discussion, once we had this discussion about Kula Dosha. And that time we were talking about the fact that, as somebody had pointed out, that the karma is one's own. And according to karma theory, we cannot have our karma given to someone. I mean, the account cannot be interchanged or transferred.
Yeah.
But now if we're talking about me being able to mitigate some karma doshas of the ancestors, then in the same logic, a Kula dosha would also run.
It could be, if somebody is, see, the only specific exception to that rule is prayer. Because prayer is an action where the sankalpa decides how the punyam should be used. Normally, sankalpa will be for yourself. But when you say sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, that is a prayer. What are you saying there? Let everybody in this world be happy. Which means you are actually saying that this punyam arising from that prayer, let it be distributed to the others.
Raviji, may I clarify something here?
Yeah.
So I spoke to SPG regarding this. I had the same doubt. And he said that this kind of proxy is, it happens only in some formal situations. Like he gave the example of, signing a check on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah.
And
Attorney. Okay.
yeah. So in that case, you would need a seal and you'd have to write there for and all of those things.
Yeah.
So he said in Shastra also such proxy situations are allowed,
Yes.
but they have to be executed formally. Like anybody can't go and collect a check on anybody's
It
behalf.
has to be executed. That's what I said. Anything where in Shastram, anything where you are looking for material benefit, that ritual has to be done exactly in accordance with the what is laid down in Shastram. You know, you can't just pray for your ancestors and say, let my punyam go to them. That is why the ritual is there. That Pinda Kriya, you know, Pinda Udaka Kriya, that is the ritual. That is the formality of the situation. In that situation, Shastra itself provides that your prayer in this situation shall go towards your, that is the formal part of it. The power of attorney, so to call, is being sanctioned by Shastra.
Yeah, it's certain exceptional situations
Yes,
only.
not in all situations. In any way in Shastram, there's a general rule. Wherever you are asking for material benefits, the instructions of the Veda have to be followed if you want to get the benefit. It is only in case of Nishkama Karma that you can ignore the instructions. Because Nishkama Karma guarantees what? Chitta Shuddhi only. No other benefit is guaranteed. So I'm glad you brought that point up, Meda. It's very important clarification.
Acharya ji,
Hanji.
if somebody doesn't get married, so his Pindadan is not done by anybody. So he doesn't get any benefits?
Yeah, Alkaji, again we are going back. This whole thing is being presented as a Vaidika Karma society background. So the problem today is that we don't have that background and yet we are doing those kriyas. If you believe in that Shastram, then the entire structure has to be followed. Right? So if your children don't give you, if the children are not taught the value, then they won't do the Pinda and Udaka for you. How are you going to get the benefit you want?
But there were bachelor sannyasis even in Vedic times.
Yes, correct. A sannyasi is taken as a jnani. There is no kriya necessary for him.
Okay, okay.
That is why sannyasi's
okay.
body is not burnt. You know that?
Okay.
Sannyasi's
Thank
body is returned to the elements by burial or throwing in the waters. Sannyasi's body is not burnt. The burning is a kriya in the Shastram for the grihastha or the non-sannyasi.
Raviji,
Thank
this
you.
Tarpanam ritual, is it performed only by the male children?
Traditionally, yes, but I don't see any reason why girls can't perform it.
Okay, just a
Somebody
question.
doesn't have a male progeny,
That is the reason
then
for
yeah.
male progeny all the time. That is the reason.
Yeah. So the ladies are also allowed and benefit is.
Yeah, you have to interpret that way. You know, you can't really say that. I don't think Vedas specifically says that only males can. It's probably an interpretation. I won't be sure because I have not studied those areas.
Thank you, Ji.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, broadly, I mean,
Sir,
yes, please. Abba, boliye.
sir, yeah, just actually you said about the Nark and Swarg. So what I understood previously, how I have taken this as that the human being, this Janam as human is Karmyoni, and whereas the rest of the Kida, Makoda, everything is Bhogyoni. And Nark is actually being born in these Bhogyonis to finish off your bad karma. This is how I till now understood it. So you're saying there is a Narak where you, I mean, do everything and then.
Let me say, I am saying Shastras prescribe 14 levels.
Okay.
Okay. So how you interpret that? When Shastra says lower life form, you can interpret it saying is that you are born in a lower life form. Or, you know, Are you going to a real Naraka and being tortured over there by some Satan? I don't know, because that sort of thing is not there in that torturing of you is not there in our scriptures. Okay, that is only there in different scriptures. So Naraka basically is a place of pain. Remember that Punyam and Papam, the basic definition is Punyam is any karma phalam capable of giving you pleasure. Papam is any karma phalam capable of giving you pain. These two things you have to remember always. So you can interpret it as, Punyam meaning born into the body of a deva, born in heaven, where you have a long life. Papam means born as a kida makoda. That is also valid interpretation. Wherever there is pain. But then what would you say about being born as a dog in the house of, let us say, Ambani's? Papam
Maybe
or pain?
slightly better karma.
There's no pain there at all.
Compared to a mongrel dog.
Where is the pain there? That dog is enjoying life more than we are.
The lack of free will is a pain.
But he doesn't know.
That is true, because this is Bhogyoni.
Unless you suffer, how will you know?
So there is nowhere a description of Narak.
He's already mukta.
So that's what I'm saying. Let us understand all this broadly. The problem with Purva Veda is that you can analyze and arrive at thousands of different, meanings. But you have to always remember the Tatparyam, the essential reason why we are studying scripture. What is that? Brahma Jnana. Everything else is incidental only.
Hold on.
When you remember that, the whole thing makes sense. Otherwise, you will enter into 1,000 different debates on why are there 7 levels of hell and 6 levels of heaven. What is the difference between Brahma Loka and Swarga Loka? All those discussions can take place, but they are, for all practical purpose, they are useless. They don't let us go anywhere near our objective.
रवि जी,
Yeah.
आपने जब 141 श्लोक में बता रहे थे तो एक बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट सेल्फ इमेज का था, जिसमें आपने बोला था आत्म कृपा मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट, नॉट गुरु कृपा, और the other word was पितृ कृपा.
Guru Kripa is one, Ishvara Kripa.
Oh, ईश्वर कृपा. Because I think ये बहुत ज्यादा important point है कि self image.
You look at any disturbed man today, you can trace that back to his childhood.
Acharya ji, you just talked about the dog who doesn't know that he's suffering. He doesn't know that he has no free will. So is it necessary to know suffering or to... So we have people who are living in circumstances which are bad, but they are not aware of how good it could be, and hence maybe they are contented. Now, is that Naraka or...
No, there always be pain. Any painful circumstances is Naraka. You can't say that somebody living in Dharavi is totally happy. He's got some pain. Or if he's totally happy, then it's Swarga for him. The thing is that any papam...
So we need to feel physical pain to be in Naraka.
Pain.
Yeah.
Either way. In that, under those circumstances, the whole world is Naraka today, right? Because COVID is making you all feel pain. Is it not? Bhuloka has been converted into Naraka Loka for us, at least for the next 1 year or 2 years.
Yeah, looks like.
Okay. So thank you guys. As usual, your discussions are great. Thank you so much. I had actually thought we would finish this today, but we have done basically 2 verses. Great. No problem. There's no hurry. We have all eternity. Om Purnamadav
Purnamata
Purnamidam
Purnamitam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnamada
Purnamaya Purnamahaya Evavashishyate.
Shanti,
Om
Shanti,
Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti
Shanti.
Om Tat Sat.
Shanti.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you
Om
very
Tat
much.
Om Namah
Sat, Om
Shivaya.
Shivaya. Thank
Have a
you,
great
sir.
weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi ji.
So thank you.